18th, 2025, and this is your weekly safety meeting. My name is Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department. We're located in the Z building, which is the southernmost building here on this campus here. We're ground level, center of the room, right next to the pillars. So if you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, we kind of serve as traffic control there in that area to point folks in the right direction and get them to where they need to go. With me this morning, I've got David White in our safety department. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dennis. Doing good?
Doing well.
It's a great Friday today, buddy. It's beautiful weather going on. Plus, it's Good Friday.
It is Good Friday. So, the significance of Good Friday, my son reminds me, only in a way a 13-year-old could tell you, hey, Dad, today's the day they killed Jesus. Like, what? Right, but that's not how we talk about it.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but he did get to the point, though.
He got straight to the point.
No,
he got straight to the point. So, happy holiday weekend. Of course, it's Easter weekend. And hopefully, if you're out running, thank you for being out running. We appreciate what you do. We want you to be safe. If you've decided to take some time and go home and visit family, great, where you've earned that opportunity. Go home, enjoy the kids, enjoy the family, be safe. We want you to get out and get running as soon as you're ready to do so. And if you're here with us here in Springfield, Missouri, Pittston, Pennsylvania, or Salt Lake City, Utah, thank you for being here with us. And thank you for tuning in. We are live here in Springfield, Missouri. And we are simulcasting across a couple different social media networks, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So appreciate you folks tuning in both now and in the future or in the past, to some of these meetings. So we're going to jump right into our speakers this morning. Who do we got up first?
Man, from Driver Health and Fitness, we have Colby and Rachel. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How was everyone? All right, Rachel, what we got?
Yeah, so our health tip today is actually a tip from one of our group calls. So every week on Thursday afternoon, we do a group call. We just send out the link to your Prime app if you want to join, and it's just a bunch of drivers on there talking about a health topic. So this week we actually talked about ways to kind of get outside of the truck. And
we did. So we had about 30 drivers on, and we kind of and all these group calls are a lot of fun. We literally took the group and I said, hey, let's talk about how we find ways to get active out or around the truck, right? So what we actually had is we had drivers. We talked about a bunch of different things. You can see the slide here. And a lot of these, like I said, actually all of them are having conversations with the drivers in this meeting. And they were anything from going for walks, of course. Even some were talking about there's places, there are truck stops where they're actually like swimming holes. They can go swimming, which is, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Obviously exercising. A lot of drivers have pets and dogs, take dogs for walks. Can be different things like hiking. We're talking about different ways to get kayaking or canoeing around the truck, so an inflatable one, stuff like that. And that was really neat to listen to drivers talk about, hey, there are a couple ways that, don't get these kayaks, they're terrible, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of neat. And then also the things like going fishing. So I thought this morning too, in all three of our terminals, we just ask it out there. What are some things besides this? Anybody have anything that they do or ways to get active in and around their truck? Things they do in their truck. I've talked to drivers who do pull-ups in the truck. They find ways. Anybody want to share something, a way to get active in the truck? Anybody? We got some activity out there. Anybody got one? No? Yeah, you got one right here. Perfect.
Bowling counts.
Go ahead.
The arm movement.
I think bowling's very active. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think the best part is what you're saying is I don't want to lose sight of it's just about the activity, right? Sometimes just getting out of the truck and doing something. So, and also being a part of the community. I think that's awesome. So bowling, that's a good one. So.
Flatbedders do it every day.
Yeah, flatbed every day they do. That's right. Yeah, tell them they're not busy. That's a good point. So, yeah, and actually I know a lot of flatbedders that create activity, so they show like workout videos and stuff using those things. That's a good point, Dave. So, well, one other thing I want to tease you guys with, the second slide, and this is something we talk about. We're always talking with drivers and different things, but so we did a competition here on site that we did with in-house people. And the second slide here is we did a marching madness. So it's 5 weeks. We created teams, people together. And mostly what I want to share with you is, like I said, the mileage. This competition we did in-house people in a 5-week period, we walked over almost 18,000 miles collectively as a group. So I just say that because I want to share with you guys, like the people you work with, your business partners, a lot of them are fleet managers, are finding ways to get out and get active. Not just literally during the day, it's also before work and after work. Get up from there when they get a break, they take a walk. So that number is amazing to me. I think so. In a matter of 5 weeks, almost 18,000 miles. So I share that with you because I want you to know the people you are working with on the operations side, the same thing. We're doing the same things together. Okay. So that's really cool. Like I said, we don't take this lightly every week. We always want to share some tip with you. If you got questions, I know last week we talked a lot about, we had Dr. Colt up here talked about sleep and stuff like that. And I know they got a lot of feedback and questions. Same thing. We invite you guys, the same thing. Ask us questions if you have about anything, ways to get active, talk about nutrition, health, those kinds of things. Any way we can help you. Anything else?
Nope, I don't think so. And if you guys need any help today, we're just right upstairs, right past the laundry room. So
And we are going to talk about the group call real quick. We are going to do we're going to stick to Thursdays. Yeah.
Yep, every Thursday afternoon. So you'll get a link on your app. If you want to make the call a contact in your phone, we have a lot of drivers who do that so that it's way easier to call in while driving because you can just tell Siri, hey, call DHF group call, for example. So yeah, if you want to do that, you've got messages on your Prime app on the number and how to set it up.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kobe. Thanks, Rachel. Good information, Dave.
Especially we got Easter. Usually we eat a little bit too much during the holidays, and this is one coming up. And if you're at home, it's kind of tough to get away from that, but gotta keep that in consideration when you sit down at the dinner table.
Sure. So, hey, one of our core values here at Prime is safety. We will not jeopardize the safety of one of our associates or the motoring public for economic gain. It's a part of who we are as a company. But another part of who we are as a company and one of our core values is fun. So this past Monday night, we had a little bit of fun. I'm asking Silva to come on up and talk about the fun that we had this past April 14th with our Highway Diamonds, the gala.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all better wake up. I know you drivers, wake up. Listen, if you missed the Highway Diamonds Gala this past Monday, you really missed something beautiful. Like, I cannot believe that we get better and better and better every year. So before I get into it, I want to thank some people because a lot of times you don't know who's doing what behind the scenes. But there is a team of people that meets every year to be able to get that thing going. Jamie Miller, she did the national anthem. This powerhouse right here loves to be in the background, but she has an amazing voice. We had Mitchell Coiner, Clayton Brown, Nikki Morrison, Brooke Ferris. These are all the team behind the scenes who plan this awesome event every single year. This year, we were blessed to have 2 dynamic speakers. We had Megan from Mars Incorporated. Anybody ever deliver for Mars? Anybody? Okay, so she got up there and told about how our drivers deliver such wonderful service. One of the things that blesses my heart is to hear that our drivers are doing that. Before she came here to prepare her speech, she said she went to the warehouse workers and the loaders and started asking them questions. What do you think about Prime? And this is how she prepared her speech. And every single one of them said that our drivers get it done on time. Give yourselves a hand for that right there. That's what you do. And then we had Alexandra Rosen from the American Trucking Association. She is a beast on Capitol Hill when it comes to issues related to drivers. When I first met Alexandra, she was talking to me about parking, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And she stayed on that topic along with other things. So she really graced our women to be able to see how powerful it is to be a woman in the trucking industry and not just as a driver, but a person who gets things done behind the scenes. Setting the stage for the night, Lord have mercy. When I walked in there, y'all, oh my God, it was just beautiful. The whole scenario was just filled with love. You can tell by the settings. As the ladies were waiting outside the door to come in, soon as we let them in, you could feel this, oh my God. It was just beautiful, guys. They were able to get on the dance floor and just have a great time. I do want to say we had some amazing women who won trophies. Ann Perkins. Ann Perkins works in our accounting department, and she won the Vera Lowe Award. She's been here at Prime for 47 years, y'all, and this is her one and only job. Can we give it up for Ann Perkins? Beautiful, beautiful lady. She deserved it. She's one of our in-house leaders. For the Highway Diamonds Award, starting with our Radiant Award, we had Ebony Clay win the Radiant Award. Myrna Muhaski won the Emerald Award, and our current Highway Diamond of the Year is Tammy Terrell Pickett. Let's give it up for those ladies. All right, one more thing. Guys, can you tell I'm controlling my excitement? Like, I just love Prime. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for gifting us all of these beautiful events. That one event I look forward to all year, guys, and I will start shopping for next year's outfit this week. But anyway, during the event, I also announced that we are getting ready to start a new Highway Diamonds committee. Ladies, if you want to participate in that, you need to go to the website to apply. Okay, this is going to be your opportunity to be a part of some things, planning the future Highway Diamonds event. This is not just for our drivers to apply, it is also for in-house. You're going to need to go to highwaydiamonds.com. It's right there on the page, ladies. Click on that apply button, fill out who you are, if you're a driver, what division, who's your fleet manager. It's also going to ask you to submit a video. I've been asking you guys all year, if you're not in the Prime Highway Diamond support group, you need to get in that group. We talk about so many things, but you need to submit a video, and we're gonna plan right now to meet yearly. This is similar to the DAB, but it's for our women drivers and our in-house staff. So if you're interested, please make sure to go on there and apply. And that's all I have. Any questions? I didn't think so.
All right, let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, Dee, so much for being with us on this Friday morning, and congratulations again to our award winners from Monday night. So, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about being with our folks at the terminals. I'm looking at the screen here. I think we got Salt Lake City ready to go. So good morning, folks in Salt Lake City. I think we've got Jonathan Grice and Justin Walker with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Hope everyone's having a great day. So we started out the week with warm weather. Everyone was wearing shorts, and then today it got a little cold. So the weather is in the higher elevations. There's lots of snow, so make sure that you're preparing for that. You're the captain of the ship. You know, if you don't feel comfortable, shut it down. Just let your fleet manager know. Hopefully after this weekend, we'll get some nicer, warmer weather, and all that snow will melt off quickly. So be safe out there. And if you have any questions safety-wise here in Salt Lake City, I'm directing traffic as well, right in the middle of the operations room. So I can help you out. Here's Jonathan.
All right. Thanks, Justin. I know I've talked about this a few times, but I want to bring up the whole training topic again. You know, it's about that time of year when it's really lucrative to get into that. You know, I looked at the profit summaries this week, and I wanted to bring those to everybody's attention and kind of go over the splits on those. So in the flatbed division, the difference between a solo operator and a team truck was $1,662 this week. On the reefer side, it was $1,313. And on the tanker side, it was $1,099. So, you know, those are pretty significant numbers, and definitely something to consider now that the weather is kind of subsiding a little bit. as Justin mentioned, the Utah weather is pretty spotty here and there, but overall across the country, we've definitely got a little bit of relief there. So I encourage you guys to put some thought to it. Have any questions about it, ask your fleet manager or one of the operations managers, and we'll see if we can get you qualified. Other than that, terminal-wise, we've got our restriping almost done out here and on the west lot here. So just please forgive us a little bit if there's a little bit of congestion, but we'll get this all settled up here pretty soon and help the traffic flow. So other than that, please be safe, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Jonathan, for being with us this morning. If anybody in Salt Lake City has any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to jump on the mic. Do we have PA yet? No PA. All right, we'll keep rolling. Right here in Springfield, Missouri. We got a good crowd this morning. Good morning, folks. Just kind of a little melancholy. That's fine. That's fine. Robert paid for breakfast for each and every one of you at all of our locations, and John Blanson and his team, and I actually saw John Blanson back there just a minute ago, do a fantastic job at each of our locations taking care of folks. So let's give those folks a round of applause to say thank you. Thank you for what they do. It's not an easy job to feed a bunch of hungry trucking professionals, but they get it done every single week.
And that's great. They get a louder applause than we did, Dennis. So they deserve it, no doubt. And that's a tough job back there. One thing I want to say real quick too, shout out to our Minooka terminal up there, Minooka, Illinois. If you're on the road today, you're heading through there, between 11 and 2, they got a barbecue truck, Jack's Ribs and Chicken, it's called. They told me it is solid, so they told me to give a big shout out to that. So if you need a place to stop, you're up there on I-80 right outside Chicago, stop at our Minooka terminal, get some of that, man. That sounds good.
Awesome. I can love a good barbecue.
No doubt.
I do see a number of neon vests in the crowd today. That means we got some new folks here. That's pretty exciting to welcome some new folks to the team, and I'm pretty sure we got some at each of our terminals. So if you are new to Prime, this is your first week here, and even if you don't have on a neon vest and you're new here, if you would just stand at each of our locations, if you would, to give us the opportunity to welcome you to the team. All right. Welcome. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys made a fantastic decision. We did some homework on you, and you passed the test, so to speak. And thankfully, in reverse, we passed your test. So now that we're in this marriage together, hopefully we can do everything we can to make it the best trucking experience you have. For folks fortunate enough to start their careers here at Prime is an excellent opportunity. Folks have heard me say this before, and I firmly believe that this is a destination company. You may read on the face webs and the U spaces that Prime is just a training company. This is where you just start off and get your start. I disagree. I strongly disagree. And I've worked here for 23 plus years, and I've seen some good, I've seen some bad, and I've seen some in the middle. I've fixed some problems, I've caused some problems, but at the end of the day, I think that, all in all, this is the best dang trucking company in the industry. I'd put our training program, I'll put our fleet managers, especially put our safety department and any support staff up against any folks in the industry. So, pretty proud of what we have to do here. And part of that pride is some of the folks that have been here a long time. We welcomed our new folks, but we also see some faces that are very familiar to us. So folks that are just stopping by, I just want to tell you, welcome home. Appreciate you being here with us. Thank you. Hopefully we can get you in here, provide you with whatever services you need, and get you back out as quickly as we can.
You're spot on that, because, it's amazing how many rehires we get coming back that started here. They think the grass is greener somewhere else, so they jump to some place different, and then 6-8 months, maybe not even that long, they're wanting to come back. And not always are they able to come back. It just depends on your records. So if you're thinking you're just going to stay here for a little bit and leave and then come back and go back and forth, hey, we look at everything. We look at, longevity. We look at commitment. We look at how you did operation-wise, safety-wise, and sometimes if you've had some issues, we're going to hold off, maybe bringing you back. And we just don't hire anybody, just like Dennis says. It can be tough coming back on a rehire. So, really think about that and really look at your options, because you are in a tough industry. This is trucking is not easy. May seem like you're just going to be a steering wheel holder, but you're not. It's anything but that. You have to deal with customers, you have to deal with traffic, you have to deal with everything out there on the road. but we're here to help you out. That's what it's about. And love to have you. Thank you and welcome everybody to our team and our family. And that's what we are here, Dennis. You know, Monday night was a great example who's showing to our lady drivers out there. And we have these parties throughout the year and we enjoy that. It's about, it's about being family, and that's what this is about. So hopefully you feel welcomed and you continue to feel welcome. We're always here for you to help you out. So.
Sounds good. Who do we got up next?
Man, let's bring them on up. We haven't had Trent Ferris up here in a while, so we've got Trent and Ron Thompson coming up. Ron's with Freightliner, so great to have them there and give us some updates. So good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thanks for having me and us. So really happy to announce Ron Thompson this morning. So Ron has been in the trucking industry for a really long time. He worked for Daimler for about 15 years as a product engineer, and had a hand in developing a lot of the really smart, intelligent features that these trucks have. So we're really lucky now that Ron has stepped over to a new role here at Premier Truck Center in Springfield as an account manager for Prime. So brought him up today to talk about some cool things on these trucks.
Thanks for having me. The last 6 years that I was with DTNA, I was on the Detroit side, and I did many driver trainings. Not training drivers how to drive. I got to hear that a lot when I would start a training because I'm not a driver. But what I am is an engineer in the background, as Trent said, developing some of these features and then communicating how they work well. My hope is to be up here periodically to share with you some of the pain points that I heard from drivers doing all the driver trainings that I did. Some of the things on the tractors, we've made them so easy to drive that sometimes you can drive them incorrectly and have no idea what's going on. So today I want to talk about two features that seem to cause drivers a lot of pain. And again, hopefully I'll get invited again to go over some more of these in the future. But today, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the first slide, I'm not going to read through this for you, but if you're curious about more of the information at a technical level, it's on the slide. Active drive line protection. What this does for you is you have to remember that underneath with the DT12 transmission and the Cascadias, it really is a manual transmission, AMT, so it's automated, but it's still manual. It has a clutch and pressure plate. It does change gears. There's no torque converter like you have in a true automatic. But people tend to drive these like an automatic because they feel like an automatic. Active drive line protection, you can imagine in a true manual, what you would never do, certainly not more than once, is be fully loaded, put it in a low gear, first or second gear, drop the clutch, hit the throttle to the floor, because you'd have a drive shaft laying on the ground. Well, it's the same thing with these. What this means for you in lower gears, it depends on a lot of things, but say fourth gear and lower, but especially first, second, third. If you give the vehicle full throttle to accelerate quickly like you would do with an automatic, you're going to get the opposite of what you want. So I get complaints from drivers, hey, the thing's gutless, it won't get through an intersection before the light turns red. Upon more investigation, you find out that they're assuming it drives like an automatic. If you go to full throttle, we're going to severely limit torque because we don't want broken pieces in the middle of the intersection and thus responsible for a bunch of tow bills all over the country. So once you go past about 2/3 throttle, we're going to severely limit that torque. What that means for you is if you'll practice, since you're in the same tractor most of the time, because they're going to vary a little bit, as everything does from vehicle to vehicle, if you'll play with about where 2/3 is, once you know that's there, you'll feel when you hit that limit and we start limiting torque. But if you go about 2/3 throttle, you will accelerate far, far better than if you go full throttle. Not intuitive, you'd have no way to know if somebody didn't tell you, and that's why I wanted to share that with you today. The second feature, if you could go to the next slide, this is another one that I often got complaints from drivers. This was evidence of how little power you had in the newer vehicles, not understanding how the feature works. Intelligent powertrain management is a feature that tries to mimic what a driver in a true manual tries to do to get the best fuel economy. And that is, when you're going up a hill, you let off on the throttle a little bit, trying to let momentum carry up the hill. On the downside, you let it roll out a little bit. Again, trying to use gravity to get you moving rather than fueling it all the way up and then burning energy on the way down with your service brakes, because that's also a form of energy. IPM does the same thing. What you'll notice when you're driving is you're climbing up a hill, we slow down. You get to the top of the hill sometimes and we'll slow down even further. And you can't help but notice when you lose 10, 12, 15 miles an hour going up a hill. The belief from a driver is, and it's reasonable because you've seen such a huge drop in speed, is that it's going to cost you time. So you can throttle through it and not have it use that feature at all. But you, of course, it burns a lot more fuel. And what you probably don't understand, because again, it's subtle, for the next mile or so after we've lost some time going up that hill slower, we pick up the speed. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 miles an hour, which you're not as likely to notice as maybe 15 miles an hour up the hill. But we pick up 1 or 2 miles an hour over the course of the next mile to make up for the time that you've lost. In the years that I did training, I challenged the drivers, especially at places that I went back every couple of years. Check your time if you're on a specific route fairly often where you can time it using IPM, letting the system do its thing, and time it with you ignoring it, right? Just throttling through when you get up to a hill and you want to slow down. I never had anybody over 8 hours of a drive be delayed more than 6 minutes. Because I challenge them, please give me that feedback because I don't want to misinform other drivers. So I challenge you the same thing. Let it do its thing, see how it works time-wise. I think you'll find that it won't cost you any time, but it will save you fuel. And saving fuel, of course, helps the bottom line. So one final thing, I'm here every week for you guys they're here in Springfield. Please, if you have any questions about safety systems, engines, transmissions, I'm delighted to answer questions. Maybe not so much on the service side, but as far as how the features should work and how you can get the best benefit, please approach me. That's the only reason I'm here in the mornings on Friday.
And we have reps from all of our truck manufacturers here every Friday. They're here to answer your questions, just like you said. So we appreciate that, and thank you very much. One question that I hear a lot related to the first thing that you talked about here was backing up. When you're backing up into a dock, one complaint that we hear a lot on Freightliners is the truck surges a lot and kind of bounces around as you're backing up into that dock. So you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I'd like to cover that in greater detail. It's a teaser, so you'll pull me up here again. But I will tell you, drivers, again, not understanding what's going on underneath because it's not intuitive. When you're crawling around on the hub or terminal, wherever you're at, even at a customer location, what people tend to do is drive these, again, like an automatic. At very low speeds, in an automatic, you control your speed with the brake pedal. You do not want to do that with an automated manual transmission because we will emulate the same behavior as a torque converter by just controlling the speed with the brake. But the difference is because there's no torque converter, I have to slip the clutch every time you're doing that. So what happens is once we reach a certain temperature, we're not going to allow the clutch to slip at all. So what it results in, a guy's, gal, whoever it is, going around a customer, going around a terminal, riding the brakes to control your speed, which feels perfectly natural. That's heating up. By the time you get ready to back under a trailer, it's too hot, and now we won't let it slip anymore. So it makes for very jerky, sometimes embarrassing docking to the trailer. So,
and what would the correction there be?
Don't ride the brakes at low speeds. So, again, much like you would have learned on a true manual, they usually advise you foot's on the brake to stop, or it's off the brake. When you're in low traffic or slow moving traffic, you don't constantly slip the clutch. For those of you that ever had it, it almost causes you physical pain to sit there and slip the clutch all the time. That's what's happening underneath. So do not use the brake at low speeds to
questions for Ron. He'll be back in the back of the room, so head back there and talk to him. There's one other thing that I want to discuss and cover this morning regarding our shops. So if you need an appointment with our tractor shop at one of our terminals, Road Assist wants to help you out with that. Get a hold of Road Assist and we will help make that appointment for you and facilitate that. And if you're an owner-operator, there's a new process here that we need to navigate through regarding the approval on those repairs. So if your truck number starts with a 2, you're an ACE lease truck or an owner-operator truck leased to Prime, we need to pre-approve any repairs that we're going to do on that tractor with a dollar amount. So again, Road Assist is going to facilitate this. Just get a hold of Road Assist and we'll work through what we need to do to communicate with your fleet manager in the shop. So any questions about anything that we've covered today really quick? I don't see any hands, so we're going to cut loose. Thank you all for what you do. I appreciate you. Stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Trent. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate you being here. You know, these vendors that are here to help us, please utilize them. You know, I've been, you know, in a sticky situation here recently, and I needed some super technical information while standing outside of a courtroom. Who did I call? They got me in contact with Ron Thompson to get me the information I need. So these folks are available. Come and talk to them. They'll give you their cell phone number. They will be accessible to you to get you taken care of.
We got all of our truck manufacturers here on site too. So if you got a Peterbilt, International, whatever it may be, Kenworth, we'll get you in contact with somebody, because that's who we go to in safety, man. We got a question on one of these trucks, we go to them. I remember Ron years ago used to come and visit us once a year from Freightliner and get us updated on the new technology coming in. It's really interesting listening to what's coming down the pike. So, but it's great we have him here locally now. And after the meeting, if you have questions, you didn't want to get in the mic or whatever, see Trent and Ron over here to the side. They'll be here, and hey, ask them questions. That's what they're here for. So there's no such thing as a dumb question. You start talking about these trucks and all the mechanical stuff inside of them, because they're all a little bit different, especially what they used to be. You talked about manuals. Remember those days.
Intellectual powertrain management. They didn't have that when you were driving trucks, did you?
No, not at all.
Good
I
deal.
couldn't even say that. I don't know if I could say it today. So yeah.
Things change, and for the better. So, you know, I asked Brian Beck to come on up. He's a fleet manager in our refrigerated department. You know, and if you've just kind of been tuning me and Dave out for the last couple of minutes, that's perfectly fine. But now it's really time to pay attention. The most important relationship that you're going to have with anybody in the building. You know, I know Steve Luckey's fun to talk to and he can get things done. But if you're on Brian Beck's fleet, the most important conversations that you're going to have, the most important relationship that you're going to have is with your fleet manager. So that's why we drag these guys down here on the worst possible day of Friday morning before a holiday, drag you down here for a few minutes to talk to this group. So one, hopefully you got some pretty good coverage on your fleet right now. Two, thank you for making the sacrifice and taking the time out to speak to the folks this morning. Good morning, Brian.
How's it going? Thanks, guys. Well, I just wanted to take some time and just talk about, with kind of what we've been through and the freight, that all of our drivers are the upfront and you guys are on the front lines of our customers. And to get those customers and more freight is to get out there and show them, like, have a strong customer centric approach in everywhere you go. So a good communication. The biggest thing whenever drivers actually get accepted a load or sent a load is, the biggest thing is always have 5 things that you guys, why would you accept it or refuse it? Make sure you make that phone call into your fleet manager or whoever's covering of your concerns. And the biggest one is the appointment time. Maybe it has too much time on it. That's the biggest one that I get on a daily basis, is be able to use our drop yards that Prime has access to, maybe customers, maybe even a relay on a team or a solo. So it's really big, and to utilize those options and be able to have a strong business approach. So the 5 acceptance of the load, that I actually have 5 reasons why I send out a load. So whenever a driver calls in and wants to refuse, is I already have those 5 reasons why. And usually it changes his mind and it makes him think. He runs the macro 19 and we actually talk about it. But just always actually be there for our customers and have that communication with the fleet manager so we can actually better help you. And especially on weekends, and I will say this weekend being Easter, it's going to be tough, but as long as you have that with the fleet manager and whoever's covering, it will make you strong. So I'm not sure. Oh, the other thing is the new policy for live loaded calls. So whenever you actually upload your bills, which is huge, is make sure you circle initially the address and the temps on the bills. I still see some drivers, they just scan them in and they're not circling it. And if you circle it, initial it, you already know that temp. So whenever you enter that information, it's going to help you with claims. It's going to better help the person calling in so you actually know what is there. Make sure that's done. And if there's an issue and there is no address and temp on the bills, then that's automatically going to tell you red flag 1. So we can actually access that and be able to take care of it so you don't go to a wrong place or run on something on a wrong temp. So please utilize that. And if you guys have questions, please get with your fleet manager. We can walk you through that and we'll get it done. Reduce those claims.
You know, Brian, I do have a couple questions for you. Maybe even just some talking points to go with you. I alluded to at the beginning that, holiday weekend, tough times. So the folks that were, planning to go home, that's past. You'd already executed that. You've already had those conversations. But now you got folks that are either at home or going to the house. I remember my days as a fleet manager. I always make a checklist of folks of 1, make sure we double check our PTA coming out. And 2, make sure we secure the equipment. So talk a little bit about the conversations that you plan on having today with folks that are either going to the house or already in the house for protecting the equipment, and then make sure we honor that commitment on the back end.
Yeah, so the biggest one I had, the one that actually I got that kind of stirred me crazy as a driver said, hey, I'm just going to stay home. He's already been home for 10 days and he said, it's Easter, there's no freight. I have just at 100 trucks and most of them are loaded and they are getting freight. So it kind of upset me where I had that conversation with that driver and I said, hey, if you're ready, it changed their PTA today. So they're out running. So it's one of those things that whenever you do go home, as he said, that, secure our equipment. That is like one huge thing. So locking your trailer. It's, nothing frustrating more whenever you get a message that a driver or a picture that one of my drivers doesn't have a lock on their trailer, no matter if it's loaded or empty. And right now, being a holiday, that's where thieves come out. They definitely attack our stuff. They attack our loads and, our equipment. And it's very frustrating. So just that lock and making sure that you actually secure that trailer or equipment in a secure location is huge. And if you don't know, we can help you. All you have to do is call or message us and we will help you find a spot to drop the trailer, and we can also help you find parking for that truck. So that way it's not towed. Please save the money whenever you actually park your truck. It's nothing more to go back to your truck and it's been towed. That's kind of huge. So just make sure you get with us. Utilize the NTTS breakdown website. That's huge on my list. It shows you truck parking. It shows you locksmiths. It shows you washouts. And especially the other big thing that, since he asked me, is being a holiday this Sunday on Easter, the biggest one is going to be Sunday. If you're up in the Northeast, most washouts are closed. So maybe we don't have that much freight, but that's going to be a huge one up in the Northeast. That all washouts are closed. So we have to utilize that whenever you accept the load. Just get with us and we'll be able to use that website and try to find actually a washout. But you're probably going to go a little bit more distance than just 30, 40, 50 miles to get a washout. You're probably going over 100, just because that most places are closed on Easter. So please actually plan for that whenever you trip plan.
Fantastic information, Brian. I hadn't even thought about that. Washouts being closed on Sunday. So that's an excellent point, though. Does anybody have any questions for Brian while we got him down here? Got one over here. Steve Lucky. Come on, get on the microphone so everyone can hear you.
Hey, Brian, thanks a lot for being down here. Now, how long have you been with Prime?
Working on 11 years.
11 years. Mm-hmm. And how many trucks are on your fleet, did you say?
Right now, 98, but I got 2 end of lease. Right now,
so you've got quite a few business partners, right?
Correct.
Now, are you, how do you feel about our training program, and what are you doing with your fleet as far as trying to grow the team concept and the training? Could you share that, please?
Yeah, so I kind of hit a rut last year whenever on the training process. The big PSDs, nobody really wants to train during winter weather, what's going on with the marketplace, but it's there and it's starting to get stronger. So what I did was I took January, which is Q1, and I had 2 PSD trainers at that time. I have about 19 TNT trainers. So what I did was I just started calling people that I thought fit to train at first. And then at this point, I also made conversations with drivers that I wanted them to improve and ask them about training, making sure that their safety record is good, making sure that, whatever we need to do adjust, to get them to train. And most of them have accepted. So now I went from 2 PSD instructors to now I have 9 in just quarter 1. Now, some of them don't have a PSD right now. They're coming into the process of training, but I just started talking about, one actually just did it. It's Lynn Humphrey. He actually lives in Texas, and I just talked to him. He wanted to be closer to home, and with his kids, they're grown. So I just said, why don't you just come in and PSD? And what we could do is you pick up a PSD in Springfield. We take a load down to Texas, maybe spend a day down there, come back up, go to Kansas, and then we test out, and we do that every single time. He lives close, but it's also down in Salt Lake City as you kind of do that Shabani little ring. You pick up a PSD, and then you train them, and that's, kind of spit them out. And then same thing in PA. PA has regional up there, and that's really quick where you do a PSD every week and just pick one up. TNT, I mean, the freight's there though. If you're ready to go out and make some money and not have to do the PSD, take that TNT and go across the 48 states that we have networked. It's there. So that's kind of what I do with the earnings are there, and the freight's coming back, it's spring, and the weather's gone besides high winds.
Sound information. We really appreciate that. Any more questions for Brian Beck? Got one over here.
Just a comment on what you're saying about PTA. That's really important. If you got a load that's a drop and you got plenty of time on it, the drop dead time's far out and you're going to drop it early, let your dispatcher know that you're going to be dropping early so that they can adjust your PTA accordingly, because the computer starts looking for the next load for you.
Yeah, correct. The projected time availability is basically whenever you actually message into the fleet manager, you can see it on your Prime app. I always ask for ETAs. So this morning I had a conversation. He wanted it. He's flying home. He's going to Florida. It's too much time. And I said, give me a very hard, strong ETA to that location, because I will try to find somebody to cover it instead of putting it on our sales department. I work this weekend, and I don't like putting other things on sales when we're trying to book and plan freight, is I try to put it on my fleet. So.
All right. Hey, Brian, thanks for being down here this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
There's some little tidbits you have to catch from that. One, get involved in the driver development program, whether your preference is to be a PSD instructor and you meet those minimum time frames, or you want to train the TNT side, or both. Get involved in the driver development program. 2, that relationship between the driver and the fleet manager is so important, so important. And 3, right there at the end, I don't know if you caught this. He said, hey, I'm working this weekend. I'm here to help you. We're not, and nothing wrong with our coverage guys. I've always said a lot of our night and mid-shifters could probably go to other companies and be the guy there. But Brian is here for you this weekend. It's a holiday weekend. You're working, Brian's working. Keep those things in mind when you talk about the relationship with your fleet manager.
You spent a few holidays here at Prime, didn't you?
Man, holidays, weekends, nights, Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter. I'm not ashamed to say it. I paid my dues, Dave.
Yeah, you did, no doubt. So, but yeah, you did a great job. So, ready for some safety numbers, brother?
Let's talk some safety.
All right. This past week we had 152 inspections. 112 of those were clean. So 74% clean rate. So great job. Give yourselves a round of applause.
All right, I'm gonna cut that applause short here real quick. All right, and here's the conversation with that number. All right, it's a good number. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of that 74, but that's not the benchmark anymore. We've been toting that the industry standard is about 35%, and that's great. We're not C students. We want to achieve the best of what we can do. Yes, we're proud of that 74, but 70% in the number anymore. We need to be looking at 75 to 80% clean inspection rate moving forward, okay? So let's dig in, all right? Let's pay attention, and Brennan and I, when she gets up here, we're gonna talk about some new things that we're gonna be pushing for to make sure that we can get to that 75 to 80%. Dave, it was your week to go through the inspections?
No, it wasn't, but we had Brandon do it.
Yeah, Brandon went through them.
Yep.
I went through the inspections this week too, and we've talked about the number of weeks in a row we've gone without a seatbelt and without a cell phone type violation, whether it's holding it, whether it's looking at a video, whatever it is. There's a number of different ones. but we've significantly changed our hours of service basic for CSA. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, Richard, can you pull up my graph there real quick? So here's our last month's CSA score, and I think Dennis meant to say unsafe driving because that's the one where the seat belts and cell phone violations. You see currently in the month of March, we're at 63% on unsafe driving. So that's down in the yellow. Yellow is better than red. We don't want to be in red, but we want to be pushing towards that green, and that's what we want to continue to do. Keep getting better on that unsafe driving. You know, back in February, we were at 66%, so that was in red, the unsafe driving. So we've dropped that, did a great job, and let's continue to keep that pushing down. We want, you know, less violations we have, better CSA scores, less chance you have being inspected out there on the road.
I'm gonna jump in here for just for a second. You know, that one in yellow, all right, and I want to talk about the significance of what prime drivers have done. The last time that it was in yellow was July of 2017. We went just short of a decade in intervention reigns in the unsafe driving basic. What was driving that are a couple things: seatbelts, cell phones, and speeding. We've all but alleviated two of those, seatbelts and cell phones. We still get sprinkled with one every once in a while, but due to the technology inside of the cab, for the most part, we've alleviated. And it's paying dividends. When we first started this, I told Robert and Daryl, it may take us about a year to get that number down. Prime drivers did it in a quarter. We were about 100% first of the year. Prime drivers did it in a quarter. Give yourselves a round of applause. But in true fine fashion, we ain't done yet. Moving on to the one just to the right, hours of service.
Yep, and the hours of service, we did tick up 2% to 74. We were at 72 back in February. So we'll get Brennan up here in a few minutes and she'll give us an update on that as well. You know, another one, Dennis, we had a significant drop was crash. And that, to me, that's the most important one up there, our DOT recordable accidents. And it doesn't matter if they're preventable or not, they still go on us as a carrier. And, you know, we were at 65% back in March or back in February, and now March scores were 59%. So we dropped that considerably, 6%. And that's awesome. We want to continue pushing that one down too. And we want all those out of the red, even hazmat. You know, we don't haul a whole lot of hazmat. Unfortunately, one violation hurts us. And so, hey, even if you don't even have a hazmat endorsement, you're saying, I don't haul hazmat, that doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does. You pick up a trailer and it's empty and it's got a placard on it and you don't take it off, guess what's going to happen? Officer's going to stop you and he's going to say, hey, let me see your hazmat paperwork. You go, my trailer's empty. Well, guess what? You got a placard on it. That's a violation. Even though you don't haul hazmat, that would go on your CSA scores underneath hazmat, and it definitely hits ours. So remember, when you're doing pre-trips and all that, and you're picking up trailers, make sure there's no placards on them. It can't be anything on the side except prime on the side. So, you know, we keep pushing to get better, Dennis. And, you know, you mentioned speeding. Next week is National Work Zone Awareness Week, nationwide. So keep that in mind too as well. So these work zones out here, just out here on 44, 70's got a lot of them, and it's nationwide, no matter where you're at. You're gonna see more enforcement, and they're gonna be looking for speeders, because that's one of the top issues they have in work zones with workers getting killed is number one, distractions, and number two, speeding. And I don't think it's trucks involved in a lot of these, but they hold you to a higher standard, enforcement does, because you're a professional driver. So it says 50 miles an hour, it means 50 miles an hour. You'll get through that work zone, you get out the other side, it'll go back up to what it was before you entered it, and you'll be fine. So just watch those speeding violations, stay out of that. Hey, I can go 5 miles an hour over. Well, that car may be going 8 miles an hour over, and guess who gets stopped? You will, because you're a professional driver. You're going 5 over. They don't stop the car driver. They're going after the truck. So those situations happen out there. So, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want anybody involved in any type of accidents out there in construction zones. And next week is going to be a big push on the enforcement side. Got a question or comment?
Well, it's more like a comment. The hazmat, you know, you can also get a ticket for missing one, but you can also get a ticket for using duct tape on them because it changes the dynamic of the placard. The way to prevent a lot of that is just a really thin piece of plexiglass that slides down in there. It doesn't blow out. It doesn't miss it. You don't have to tape it. You don't have to do anything with it.
That's a good point right there. And, we preach that clear duct tape. It's basically like box tape, but it's stickier. And you can buy it at truck stops. You can buy it at Walmart, the clear duct tape. They won't bother you with that. As long as they can see the contrasting colors. What they don't like is the most popular, that gray duct tape around the edges. They will stop you and they will get you for that too, get you for a violation. In some states, even have some pretty steep fines on it. Ohio and Illinois, they like to fine drivers for that. It's a money maker. So even though you may think, oh, it's not that big a deal, but when it hits the pocketbook, it will be. And it hits our pocketbook too as well. So we don't want those. So be aware of that. And good point, Terry. Good job on that. And that's what we're looking for. Just getting those numbers down, Dennis. That's the end of the day.
Good deal. Hey, Brennan, come on up here. We're going to get Brennan, an officer, to kind of continue the safety/compliance conversation. Going through the inspections this week, and Brennan, we'll talk a little bit about what I saw, and you look at those two and what you saw. We saw that CSA basic up there. It's a slight uptick, and this is what I saw this week. We had a total of 7 total inspections that involved hours of service with a total of 10 violations. The number is sometimes you can get more than 1 violation on 1 inspection, and 2 of those is some of those are low-hanging fruit, and these are the ones that kind of frustrate me the most. We got 2 because I know you talked about eRODs up here at the Friday morning meeting a couple weeks ago. Couldn't send them, didn't know how to send them. And, again, with the new technology with Geotab, it's 100 times easier now than what it ever was with the Geotab. But, if you don't know how to do it, it might as well be Chinese algebra, right? So.
Right. Yeah, so I actually didn't get to speak a couple of weeks ago, but we have a couple slides to address those points. So the first, for transmitting your eRODs, like Dennis mentioned, this is so incredibly easy. From your dashboard, you're going to select roadside check. You'll be prompted for a PIN. It's just easiest to select no PIN. And from here, you're just following the DOT officer's instruction. They will tell you to either email transfer or send it through web services, and they'll provide you with a comment or a code to enter so that they can view those eRODs. Now, if you're in an area that's a dead zone and you're having some issues transmitting, you can select compliance print, and that will show your eRODs right there on the screen for the DOT officer, and this is perfectly legal. Now, as for that next slide, we're addressing a lot of the violations we're seeing that are negatively impacting our CSA score. These are currently our top violations. It's all public record. You can definitely check this on the CSA website if you choose. The first and second are 14-hour rule violations. So we did see some inspections last week for these violations. It is so incredibly important that you're thoroughly trip planning and that you're communicating. Lay out a trip plan whenever you're first sent a load, and trip plan every day that you're running that load to make adjustments as needed. Make sure to communicate if you can't legally make a load, if you run into any delays. That way logs can take a look and see if we can make adjustments here, or your fleet manager can look into adjusting that appointment if needed. It's also really important that you're utilizing tools such as split breaks. These are invaluable to help you out whenever you have a very tight appointment. Next, we're looking at failing to maintain a blank driver's record of duty status graph grids. So this is going to be your paper log books. This is incredibly low-hanging fruit. We have these paper log books available free of charge at Springfield, Salt Lake, and Pittston terminals. If you're here at a terminal and you do not have one, please see logs, please see lineup, please see orientation. We have those log books available, and we're happy to provide you with one. Inside these log books, you also have the instructions, as well as the malfunctions and diagnostics sheets. We also see write-ups for not being able to provide these. And last, we're looking at failure to certify information. This is also very low hanging fruit. Please make sure to go in on a daily basis, morning or night, verify all of your logs. One thing we're seeing quite a bit on Geotab is drivers being dinged for not verifying multiple days. So if you don't verify 4 of 8 days in your logs, you're looking at 4 separate write-ups. And that is a massive hit on Prime CSA score, which unfortunately is going to lead to more of our drivers getting pulled in for inspections. If we're able to pull it together with verifying logs and keeping those paper logbooks, being able to access all of those resources you need during inspections, we're going to see that CSA score for HOS go down. If we start trip planning thoroughly, if we start communicating thoroughly, using these resources for hours of service appropriately, we're going to see our CSA score go down in terms of those violations as well. So with that, do any of you have questions, concerns?
Right in the front, Keith.
Whenever we are at home and off duty and away from the truck for like maybe 2 or 3 days and not getting to certify, does that still count as a like violation?
Not as long as you catch it before you start back on the road. You'll just want to make sure whenever you're hitting the road again to go back in and verify all of those 8 days. All right.
All right. Thanks, Brennan.
Thanks.
Dave's back up here. I think we got one more video we need to show. Is that right?
Oh, that was yours. Yeah, I almost forgot. I'm glad you thought of that.
Yeah.
I would have missed it.
So, when we review Netrodyne videos, every once in a while we get one and be like, hey man, that'll be a good one to show the fleet. Richard, if you bring that video up, we get a lot of the following too close videos, and these are the ones that are disputed, kind of the most. All right. And one of the things we coach is, keep the space, and then they say, oh man, when you keep that space, somebody's going to jump in there. Yeah, we know that. That's how traffic works. But what we really look at is after that driver or that truck or that car changes lanes in front of you, what do you do in that 10 seconds after to respond? Do you lay on the horn and ride their ass until they speed up? No, that's not what we want to do. We want to get off the cruise or run the cruise. We want to reduce our speed and continue to create that space. And, we get a lot of pushback. Well, if we do that, somebody else is going to jump in there. Yeah, we understand that too. We understand how traffic works. However, if we don't do that, this is the peril that we run into. Go ahead and play that video, Richard. At this point, drivers keeping some really good space, really appreciative in the middle lane. Good job. Decent speed. You'll see that hauler get in front of them. No big deal. Still got a decent amount of space. But, another point is you guys are pretty intuitive. You see that black car, I bet you guys can figure out what's going to happen. All right. They're kind of looking and watching, and they say, I got a spot that I'm going to try to get into. All right. We're going to get into that spot. Now it's the time to respond. Now it's the time to slow down, get off the cruise, whatever we need to do. But we don't. And here's the result. Again, with all these videos that we're going to show on a Friday morning meeting, nobody's hurt, and thankfully. All right. But the simple coaching here is easy. When they get into that spot, you got about a 10-second time to respond to what's going on. And if you don't, these are the type of things that can happen. You got to respond. You can't get mad. Laying on your horn is not going to help the situation. It's getting off the pedal, is getting on the brake, or if you're in cruise, getting off the cruise to allow for that space. We always talk about the big three, Dave, making sure you're driving the appropriate speed for the conditions, making sure you have enough space between you and the vehicle in front of you, which is this one, of course. Always we talk about alleviating distractions in the cab. But this one right here is number 2, pretty easy. Make sure you have enough space between you and that vehicle in front of you. If somebody jumps in, it's not the end of the world. Slow down, get off the cruise, whatever you need to do to keep that space.
All right. We had a pretty good meeting today, Dennis.
Fantastic meeting.
We did, yes. Anybody has questions, Prime mobile app or your Geo tab or Netrodyne, Richard and Brianne right over here to the right, they can help you out after the meeting. So wearing red today, you want to give that one out?
Man,
Got your Cardinals on?
I've caught a little flack in the last couple of weeks for having on red adjacent clothing, you know, so I dug deep. Weather's changed a little bit. I've got on true Cardinal red today, but the red is really RED. Remember everyone deployed. So if you served, if you defended our freedom in uniform, thank you so much. If you would stand for just a second to give us the opportunity to honor you.
I'm ready for the next one, man. We got one more speaker coming up.
You know, great meeting today. Great meeting. Bring that speaker up.
Jared Young. Let's bring old Jared up here, man. Another
right.
fleet manager.
All right.
We're going to get him up here. He's got a special presentation today, and we're kind of held off to the end. Go ahead, Jared. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good morning, everyone. I'm not the star of this portion for sure. We're going to bring up Ben Barrett. He is the star of this portion. Today, we're going to recognize Ben for achieving 3 million miles, and that is an amazing accomplishment. Ben is an absolute star. I love this guy to death. We've been together for a while and have gotten to know each other so well. And it's just a joy to work with him every day. And he's a professional at the highest level in everything you could possibly imagine in terms of trucking. And he is just a blessing to have. And I can't tell you how much I love this guy. But he's the star. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his journey here at Prime and how do you get to 3 million miles?
It's not easy. 21 years. I'm a rehire, so I came back. You call me on the phone, say you want to come back to work? I said, hell yeah. So it's 90% luck, 10% skill. Like you said, that last video, I would have got to the right lane. Cause it's 4-wheelers they're gonna cut you off. They will. That's right. So it hasn't been easy, but Prime's a good company, good equipment, and that's all I got to say. Just take one day at a time. Do your pre-trip, post-trip. That's it. That's all I got to say, man. Just take it one day at a time.
And that's Ben for you. He's just as humble as can be. It's more than 90% luck right there. This guy is all about taking that preventative action, making sure he's staying ahead of what's going on, giving himself lots of space. And gosh, he's just awesome at everything he does out there. And he's a blessing for me to have, a blessing for Prime to have, and a great guy to talk to. If you ever see him in the hall, just hit him up.
Another thing I like about Prime, they do things the right way. You see they got a problem and they try to fix it. And that's it, Most companies, they do stuff on the cheap, dirt lots, crummy bathrooms, crummy showers, but first class all the way.
Ben,
That's a great company there, boss.
Hey, thank you. Ben, I'd like to say this. It's always a pleasure to see you. No matter whether times are good or bad, you're always good. And it's much appreciated. You have such a positive outlook on life. We're proud of you, man. Thank you.
You know what? I feel like a pretty good at the ball. You know what I mean? Everybody's paying attention to me today. So I'm not used to this.
Well, they'll pay attention to you when you go to the bank and you try to cash this check. Check it in there, be kind of unique. But I bet they'll cash it. All right?
Thank you.
We appreciate you. You're the best.
I appreciate you. You guys have a great company here. You know what I mean?
We're going to make it better with your help.
Yeah, good job, man. Thank you. Congratulations, man.
Okay, thank you.
And Jared, good job, man. Takes a good fleet manager to manage some of these guys for sure. Well done.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
He is a great manager. He always works his magic. That's all I got to say. He's a great guy. He makes me money, so that's it.
It just reinforces what was said earlier. Fleet managers and drivers, that's the best, most important relationship you can have, I believe. So thanks a lot, Ben. Now I got a little quiz for the president of our company here, Daryl Hopkins, real quick.
I don't like pop quizzes.
Yeah. You're good at them. What do these companies have in common? Okay, LTI, Equity Transportation, Walls Transport, Best Logistics, CNC Freight, Best Choice Trucking. Those are or have been competitors. What do they have in common?
They've all closed their doors.
Exactly, which is really my point about the business as we see it today. It's been tough. You all know it. You've lived through it. You fought like hell delivering freight. It's been soft, but we're fighting with our customer base too to gain more market share. As we see these companies exit the marketplace, it creates more opportunities for us. There's another one that just chose to close up 150 trucks, a really nice trucker in South Carolina, family-owned business, started at 44 years ago. I know him personally and spoke with him just this week, but he just isn't going to fight it anymore. He's worried about nuclear verdicts from lawyers and accidents and things like that. So he's going to take his money and run. I'm proud of him. He's been a good competitor over the years, but this is very commonplace in our industry right now. So for you all that are hauling freight right now, there's going to be more opportunities and businesses, in fact, picking up. And we're seeing some of the bid processes that we participated in come our way now for additional volume. So y'all hang in there. The reason we're able to get some of this volume back is just simply the service you give. Nobody does it better than Prime, and proud to be a part of it. We just got to do more of it and do it safely. So thank you all for what you do. You all that are out there running through the Easter weekend, we thank you very much, and we'll say prayers for you. Be safe and thank you. Daryl, Robert?
I just add one thing, Ben is a great example of something, and that is, we can't control a pandemic. We can't control government tariffs, and really we can't control the market. What we can control is our actions and our attitude. And Ben is a great example of what a positive attitude and high performance does. 3 million safe miles, that's pretty fantastic. So I just want to commend our entire team because we've been through and are in a very difficult market. And yet your actions and your attitude, it's what's created the greatest service of any trucking company out there. I think all our good customers recognize that and will continue to. So thank you for all that.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Easter weekend, it's a pretty compelling, holiday. People like to be with their families, maybe enjoy an Easter dinner. Many of you are going to be out there working. We appreciate that. If you want to be with your families and get home, we appreciate that too, and we'll work with you on that. But many of you just can't do that. You volunteer to work, and it keeps our freight moving, keeps our customers smiling, keeps our loads on time. And, it's all part of the sacrifice you make, to make a living in one of these trucks. And you darn sure need to be making money and need to be treated with respect. Ben, you're the best, man. We love you. God bless all of you. Please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Nice job.